In this video, we are going to do corrections for test number 8, which was factoring. And so again, any problem that you missed, or if you got points taken off that problem, you need to correct on a separate sheet of paper. Make sure you copy all the work, make sure you number your problem, and that you write the letter of the correct answer. So for number 1, test 8, number 1, says which expression is equivalent to this. So you learned that you can do this with decimals now, but for this test, we needed to learn how to factor, and so you had to show the work for factoring. And so in here, you're going to copy your trinomial, and we're going to label A, B, and C. So A, B, C. Okay, the first thing you want to do on this test is check to see if you have perfect squares for A and C, because if you do, then there are shortcuts and then you will save yourself a lot of time. So A is perfect, but 54 is not on the list, so it is not perfect, and that means I have to create the X, and I'm going to solve this X plus. I'm going to multiply A and C. 1 times negative 54 gives me negative 54. The B value, 15, goes on the bottom. On the sides of the X, I'm going to find factors of 54, numbers that multiply to give me 54. So I showed you what you can do using decimals. If you don't know your factors, you just start dividing first by 1. 1 always works. 1 times 54. Next number should be 2. So 54 divided by 2 is 27. So 2 times 27. And I'm just going to keep going until I find the one that subtracts to give me 15. So next one is 3. 3 times 18. And if you notice, this is the pair that subtracts to give me 15. 18 minus 3 is 15. But yeah, it's positive 15. So I'm going to keep the negative there on the 3. 18 minus 3 is 15. And this one doesn't have a shortcut for square roots, but it does have another shortcut because A is 1. And so your factors come from the X. X minus 3 and X plus 18, because those are the numbers that solve the X plus 1. So your answer is B. For number 2, same thing. I'm needing to solve this problem. 24 is not on the list, so I have to do the X and multiply 24 times 5. That's 120. And then the B value, which is negative 22, that goes on the bottom. On the sides of the X, I'm looking for factors of 120. So 1 times 120. Again, the top number's positive, so now I'm going to be looking for something that adds up to give me 22. So I'm going to keep going until I find a pair that adds up to 22. I have 120 divided by 2. 2 times 60 does not add up to 22. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to divide it by 3. 3 times 40 is not 22. 4 times 30, not 22, so I'm going to keep going. 5 times 24, not 22, I keep going. 6 times 20, not 22 if I add it. 7 doesn't work. 8 times 15, that one doesn't work either, it's not 22. 9 doesn't work. 10. 10 times 12, that's the pair that works. 10 times 12 gives me 120. But if I add those two, it gives me 22. And for them to add up to negative 22, I'm going to put negatives on both of those numbers. In this case, A is not 1, so there's no shortcut. I'm going to have to do the whole process of factoring. So to do that, I copy the A value. I replace the B value with those two numbers, negative 10x and negative 12x. And then I copy the C value, which is positive 5. Now I have 4 terms. I'm going to split it in the middle, so I have 2 on each side. And I'm going to find the greatest common factor between 24 and 10. And so you can also do that with decimals. You type GCF for greatest common factor, parentheses, for 24 and 10. So 24 comma 10. That's 2. So I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 2x because both of them have x, so I also take out the x. And I'm inside the parentheses, I'm going to divide 24 divided by 2. That's 12. And then negative 10 divided by 2 is negative. So I finished the left side. I'm going to move on to the right side and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find the greatest common factor between 12 and 5. And I can find it using decimals. GCF between 12 and 5. That's 1. And so I'm going to divide by 1. And because the first number is negative, it's going to be a negative. I'm just going to take that negative 1 outside. And inside the parentheses, I'm going to divide. Negative 12 divided by negative 1 is positive 12. And 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. And so if you notice, I have the same factor in the parentheses on both sides. So that's one of my factors. The other one gets created with 2x, the ones that are outside, and minus 1. And so my answer in this case, 2x minus 1 is C. Okay, number 3, I have an A value, a B value, but there's no C value. There's a 0 for C. So I cannot do the x plus when there's a 0 on top because all the numbers would work. All the numbers give you 0. So what I have to do here is just find the greatest common factor between 210 and 63 and divide it so I can factor it out. So I can do it with decimals, the GCF of 210 and 63 is 21. So I'm going to divide both numbers by 21. And because both numbers have a D, I'm also going to take out that D. And so I'm going to leave that outside parentheses. And I'm going to divide. 210 divided by 21 is 10. 2D's minus 1 is 1. And then negative 63 divided by 21 is negative 3. 1 minus 1. There's no D left on the 3. And so my answer was A. Right, number 4 says, which expression is equivalent to this trinomial? Choose 2 answers. So this one, if you got 2 points taken off, is because you only had 1 correct answer and you needed 2. So in this one, you have again A, B, and C. We check to see if A and C are perfect. A9 is perfect, and then the C16 also perfect. And so I don't have to do the X puzzle. The shortcut to do this problem is we take the square root of the A value and the C value. Square root of 9 is 3. Keep the minus from the middle. And then the square root of 16 is 4. And both of my factors are the same. So 1 was one of the answers. And then the other answer is 4, because you can put a little 2 outside to indicate that both factors are the same. So those were your 2 correct answers for number 4. Right, number 5, another one in which I only have A and B, there is no C value. C is a 0, so I cannot do the X puzzle. So again, I would just have to find the greatest common factor between those 2 numbers so that I can factor it out. So I'm looking for the greatest common factor between 28 and 35. It's 7. And so a lot of students that got this one wrong because they didn't notice the first number is negative. And so I have to take out that negative also. And it's going to have negative 7x on the outside. And then I'm going to divide. 28 divided by 7 is 4. 35 divided by negative 7 is negative 5. So my answer was B. Right, next one, number 6. Which expression is equivalent to this trinomial? And so I have A, B, and C. A is 1, which is perfect. But C is not perfect, so I have to do the x plus. I'm gonna draw the x, multiply the A with the C, so it's negative 60. B goes on the middle, so negative 17 goes on the bottom. And then I'm looking for factors of 60, numbers that multiply to give me 60. And so I can do that with decimals. Anytime that you don't know your factors, start dividing by 1, by 2, by 3. We know 1 always works, so 1 times 60. 2 times 30. 3 times 20. You can keep going, but you are looking for the pair that subtracts to give you 17. And so 20 minus 3 is going to give me 17. But for it to be a negative 17, I'm going to put the minus with the 20. And A is 1, so there's a shortcut. Factors come from the x puzzle, x plus 3, and x minus 20, which is A. Okay, problem number 7, which expression is equivalent to this trinomial A, B, and C? A is not perfect, so I have to do the x puzzle. And I'm going to multiply A times C, so 2 times 4 is 8. The middle one goes on the bottom. And I'm looking for factors of the top number, numbers that multiply to give me 8. So 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. And again, my top number this time is positive. So now I'm looking for the pair that is going to add up to 7. A lot of students got this one wrong because they did 8 minus 1. It's 7, but it's addition, so I needed it to be plus, not minus. So 8 plus 1 equals 9, not 7. 2 plus 4 equals 6, not 7. There's no more factors, and so this is not factorable. So the answer was B. Problem number 8 says which of the following is a factor. So I'm only looking for one of the factors. I have A. This is not B, this is C. And so we're going to check first to see they're perfect. 49 is on my list. C is also on my list. So shortcut, all I have to do is take the square root of those two numbers. Square root of 49 is 7. Square root of 36 is 6. And in this case, there's no B value. So whenever there's no B value, the other term is the opposite sign. Same numbers, but opposite sign. And so the factor that was here was the one with the negative. C. All right, problem number 9 says which of the following is a factor? Choose two answers. So it's very similar to the previous one. I have A and C. 4 and 25 are both perfect. So shortcut, take the square root of each. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 25 is 5. And the other one, because there is no B, would be the same, but with opposite sign. Same numbers, opposite sign. So the two factors, the two answers should have been 4 and 2. At number 10, which of the following is a factor? I have a trinomial, A, B, and C. A is perfect, but the 12 is not. So I have to do the x puzzle. 1 times 12 is 12. The middle one, 8, goes on the bottom. And I'm looking for factors of 12. Numbers that multiply to give me 12. 1 times 12. 2 times 6. 3 times 4. Top number is positive, so I want them to add up to 8. 2 plus 6 will give me 8. So I'm going to take those two numbers and plug it in, replace it for the B. I'm going to copy the A, which is 1x squared. Replace the B with positive 2 and positive 6. And then copy the C, which is positive 12. I have 4 terms. I split it in the middle, so I have 2 on each side. And I'm looking for the greatest common factor between 1 and 2. So again, you can do this with GCF, greatest common factor, GCF. between 12 and whatever the other number was. Oh, 1 and 2. So almost 1. Keep that one is outside the parentheses, and then I divide. 1 divided by 1 is 1. 2 divided by 1 is 2. On the other side, greatest common factor between 6 and 12 is 6. So I keep the 6 outside, and then I divide. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So my factors are x plus 2, 1x plus 6. Question is, which one's a factor? So only one of them is in the answer choices. Let's see. Right. Problem number 11 says, which of the following is a factor of this trinomial A, B, and C? A and C are not perfect, so I have to do the x puzzle. Multiply A and C. 2 times 2 is 4. The middle one, 5 is in the bottom. And I'm looking for factors of 4. 1 times 4, 2 times 2. Top number is positive, so I want them to add up to 5. That will be 1 and 4. So like the previous example, I'm going to take the B and replace it with 1 and 4. I'm going to copy the A, 2x squared plus 1x plus 4x. And then copy the C plus 2. Split it down the middle, and I'm looking for the greatest common factor between 2 and 1. So the GCF of 2 and 1 is 1. Keep it outside the parentheses. And I divide. 2 divided by 1 is 2. 1 divided by 1 is 1. The other side, greatest common factor between 4 and 2 is 2. Keep the 2 outside parentheses, and then I divide. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. I have the same factor on both sides, so I know I did it correctly. The other one is 1x plus 2. Again, the question, which one's a factor? Only one of them is on the list, and that's C. Right, last problem is number 12. This one looks a little bit different from the other problems, but the process is the same because we have a trinomial on top of the fraction. So we have an A and B and a C. 5 and 6 are not perfect, so I have to do the x puzzle. And I multiply 5 times 6, that's 30. The 13 that's in the middle goes in the bottom of the x. And then I find factors of 30. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. But I'm looking for something that adds up to give me 30. So many students got this one right. It's an easy one. 3 plus 10 is 13. They're both positive, so I'm going to replace the B with those two numbers. I'm going to copy the A value, 5x squared. Replace the B with a positive 3x and a positive 10x. And then copy the C, which is plus 6. Split it down the middle, 2 terms on each side. And then I'm going to find the greatest common factor between 5 and 3, which is 1. Keep the 1x outside parentheses, and then I divide these numbers. 5 divided by 1 is 5. 3 divided by 1 is 3. On the other side, I'm going to find the greatest common factor between 10 and 6, which is 2. Keep the 2 outside parentheses, and I'm going to divide again. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I did it correctly. I have the same factor on both sides. The other one is x plus 2. And then if you remember, the original problem has x plus 2 on the bottom. And so this x plus 2 cancels with the x plus 2 from the top. So this is my only answer left. Make sure your name is on your papers for your corrections. Staple it to the back of your test and turn it into